o'clock p.m. I now call to order the February 21st regular town board meeting for the town of Arundecoit. Visitors are invited to join the board in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilwoman Barnum.
Here.
Councilwoman Hush-LaRae.
Here.
Councilman Perticone.
Here.
Councilman Weiner.
Here.
Supervisor Seeley.
Here.
And attorney for the town.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have a little bit of a pre-meeting celebration, as we like to do here. First, just a few general remarks. Welcome, everyone, to this February meeting. Nice to see a nice turnout, and hopefully that has to do with some of the presentations we're having, but it's always good to see a full Broderick room. A lot going on at Town Hall, despite the weather. We had our biggest Winterfest celebration last month. There wasn't snow on the ground, but the temperature was certainly winter appropriate, and our attendance soared this year. It was really a good time. I want to thank all the businesses, volunteers, town staff who donated their time, services, or products, but most of all to the really thousands of residents who came by Town Hall on that day. Really terrific event. Nice to see. In that vein, I'm happy to announce that on Friday, April 7th, the town will be holding another community event, its first annual Senior Exposition, or Senior Expo. This event will provide a one-stop shop for older residents looking for information on services and products, as well as some on-site health services. The Senior Expo will take place at the Newcomb Friendship Center at St. Cecilia's Church, located at Culver Road, just north of 104. For more information, please call my office, 336-6034. Continuing with our serving our senior community, renovations have begun at the Pine Grove Senior Center. We're making significant improvements to the Veterans Community Room and the main entrance to make the facility more welcoming for the visitors. The project will be complete in the next month or so. In the interim, our seniors are hanging out at Camp Eastman for lunch and other activities, and we appreciate their patience during this time, and we're moving that project along swiftly. I'm happy to say the transformation of Depot Plaza, the former Kmart Plaza on East Ridge Road, is pretty much complete. On Monday, February 28th, the new Panera will open up. Several years ago, it would have been difficult to imagine this property completely redeveloped with over $15 million invested and nearly 100% occupied. But with the opening of the Panera, which I'm sure many people have been awaiting that for weeks, as the sign went up months ago, it will now, that whole plaza will now be roughly 100% occupied. So that's terrific and speaks to better things on East Ridge Road. For those residents living on Norton Street, the Monroe County DOT will be holding an informational session on Monday, February 27th to discuss the upcoming rehabilitation to Norton Street in Arundecoit. That meeting will take place at the Laurelton Party Intermediate School at 7 p.m., I believe in the faculty lounge. On Saturday, March 4th at 10 a.m., Assembly Majority Leader Joe Morelli, our good friend, will host his annual presentation on the state budget. As always, there are many critical items up for discussion, many of which impact our town. And I encourage residents to come and get an update from Joe about the 2017-2018 state budget, and that will be at 10 a.m. here in the Broderick room. And as always, remind residents, especially our senior residents, March 1st is a critical deadline for both the New York State Enhanced Star annual income verification, as well as those applying for other tax exemptions, for instance, the limited income senior exemption, the veterans exemption, and so forth. Please pay our assessor's office a visit or call 336-6055. Again, that deadline is March 1st. And on Sunday, March 5th, from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., the Laurelton Volunteer Fire Association will host its third annual pasta dinner at the firehouse. For more information, call 482-8584. And I would be remiss if I did not note that our town attorney is a ringer for the evening, Mr. Ed Primo. We certainly enjoy having him here, but that is necessitated by our normal town attorney, Laura Smith, giving birth to her second child. Laura and Merritt welcomed Theodore Michael Smith to join big sister Charlotte into the world at 7 a.m. on Sunday, February 12th. 7 pounds, 14 ounces, and 19 inches long, and already well-versed in general municipal law. So we wish Laura while we miss her, and she'll be back in a few months, but Ed certainly is a capable standby, and we appreciate having him here. But Laura, I know you're watching and critiquing me already, so we wish you the best. With that, we're going to get to our Good Neighbor Awards, which I'm very happy to hand out. So I'm going to invite the board members to join me at the podium. We'll get you next month. So we really have 2 Good Neighbor Awards, but we really have 13, but we'll go quick. And the reason we have a lot is because we've had a successful initiative. But before we get to our great neighborhood associations, I wanted to make sure I recognized a very special young man in town. Would Logan Johnson please come up? Is Logan not here? Oh, no. Well, we will certainly divert from our activities if he shows up, or we'll just do it next month. But Logan, if you're watching on Channel 12 at home, we have an award for you. You're welcome to come get it. My apologies for that. It was going to be a good one. But with that, I wanted to, for multiple reasons, recognize the many neighborhood associations that have formed throughout town. It's an initiative I've been proud that Town Hall has helped facilitate, but mainly proud of the neighbors that have really risen to the occasion and over really last summer and the fall and the winter really banded together to form these associations. But I think I can preach for this for hours, but they have multiple values. It really is a great thing to see neighbors coming together. And I just say this day and age, they say the world has shrunk, that you can have a friend on Facebook from across the world and never meet that person, but perhaps speak with them every day. But many of these relationships we cultivate, we never have a physical relationship or a presence with that person. So the very fact we're bringing these neighborhoods together, I think, is a good thing. So what I wanted to do was very briefly just bring up every neighborhood association. Make sure mainly we recognize the people who have been the catalyst for bringing these associations together, because it's not easy. It's not easy to be that spark and to keep it going. If your first meeting only has 9 people to stay at it and say, we want to keep doing this because we believe it's a good thing. So I think the town board wants to make sure we're giving credit to the associations that have formed, but also the people who have been really the leads in these neighborhoods. So first, I'm going to bring up representatives from the Nowadaga neighborhood. Cheryl Boudreau here. Come on up. I'm just going to read a little information as you come up. This association, Nowadaga, has been around in one form for many years. As part of the town's recent initiative, the association was revitalized and now holds annual events such as their Halloween parade and Easter egg hunt. This neighborhood association, for those of you who don't know, is if you really go down St. Paul on the northern half of St. Paul Boulevard in West Aronico, it's off to the west, headed down to the flats. Yeah. Very historical neighborhood, a lot of heritage there, and very glad to see that this old association has really reignited. It's one of our older ones, but please give a round of applause to the Nowadaga Neighborhood Association. All right, we have many people from the Briarwood Triangle Association here tonight. I would like to ask them to come up. Are they here? Yes, don't be shy. Briarwood is not shy. So Briarwood has actually been good evening. Briarwood's been, all these are successful, but Briarwood has really taken off. It's an association that its membership has grown. They're very active. They're in many ways replicating many of the best practices that we saw with Winona Woods and some of the other associations. I like the name of it, the Briarwood Triangle. So it's the triangle formed by Cooper Road, St. Paul Boulevard, and Titus Avenue. It was formed in August of 2016. And they've already enjoyed 3 general meetings along with a recent tap takeover at I-Square in December. And they're currently working on several initiatives, including a neighborhood watch, neighbor care program, and community garden, and are planning their very first neighborhood picnic in August of 2017. I only ask the associations to spread out the picnics, keeping my waistline in mind, or have some light hot dogs perhaps. But I'm very proud of the Briarwood Triangle Association, a very good group, core dedicated, and thank you for being here tonight, and keep up the good work. Thank you. Next up, my initial home neighborhood, it would be the Maywood Neighborhood Association. Is representatives from Maywood here? There they are. Come on up. The leads in Maywood have been Brian Farino, Chris Macri, and Becky Tiernan. This is my home, the neighborhood association I grew up. I have fond memories of the holiday flatbed toy give-out that was organized, and certainly it's near and dear to my heart. But this is the neighborhood bordered by St. Paul Boulevard and Colebrook Drive. It includes the streets that run east of St. Paul and south of Colebrook down to Thomas Avenue. The name Maywood actually is in the deeds to many homes, my parents included, and the concept of the Maywood Neighborhood Association was formed in the 1940s when many of these homes were built. I'm glad that the association re-sparked in August of 2016, and they're looking forward to many good initiatives. One that they did with our neighborhood enhancement program is a tree planting initiative, where yourself and others are doing the legwork to knock on doors and ask neighbors if they want a tree in their right of way. And we're very happy to partner with you on that. And keep up the good work, Maywood. Round of applause. Now on to the Lakeside neighborhood. Is Dave? I see Dave Long here. There he is. I'll talk as you're coming up, Dave. Okay. Hi, Donna. How are you? So Lakeside was formed in August 2016 and is named after the area that appeared in early town maps. As you can imagine, it's by the lake. It includes the area south of Lakeshore Boulevard, east of St. Paul, and the north and west of Colbert Drive. Residents of the Lakeside Neighborhood Association celebrated their first ever winter social on Saturday, January 21st. Their Facebook and website are very active in providing connections between neighbors, and they also participated with a very good proposal for the Neighborhood Enhancement Program, and we look forward to more good things from the Lakeside Neighborhood Association. So please give a round of applause. And I'll just note, the other reason I want to do this is I want to make sure people are cognizant of these associations in existence, but also we do have some gaps. If you look at the map, it's a big town, 52,000 residents. These generally have between probably 1,000 and 2,000 residents. Briarwood might have a little more. Eagle Heights might have a little more, but there are gaps to fill, and I encourage you to go on the town website to the neighborhood page. That kind of gives you an idea of where there are existing associations, give you some information about them, but also where we are looking for others to form. The Seneca Neighborhood Association, please come up. President Jason Woodson, Megan Lacey DeChatteveau, Erica Walther, and Chris Colangelo. Very good group. I know many of these people, and I know they're hard workers and relentless. Seneca is, Seneca, sometimes we have Senecas throughout town. We have Seneca Road, Seneca Drive, Seneca Parkway. This is the northwest quadrant. It was formed in fall of 2016, and it's actually named after the Seneca School. So think of that neighborhood, really Seneca School North, kind of a triangle almost, right, if you will. They're just getting started, but they've had some very good initial meetings. They had a great holiday party in December, and already doing very good things, and a very good core dedicated group. Expect good things out of this neighborhood association, so please give a round of applause to Seneca Neighborhood Association. All right, the newly named Eagle Heights Neighborhood Association. So Eagle Heights, many people have asked me if, I think I attended a meeting there, it was last week or maybe the week before, and it was on my calendar as an FYI, I think, but it was at the library, and I thought, I'll pop my head and say hello to maybe a dozen or so people, and there was about 125 people in the room, and just for me, it was very nice to see. But the Eagle Heights neighborhood was formerly called the Listwood neighborhood, so if you think the area around the Listwood, the high school, really between Oak Lawn and Oakview, excuse me, and Cooper? Yes, so up to Pine Grove, correct? But it's just, obviously the membership here is booming. It's nice to see. It's a great neighborhood, and the Cocoa and Conversations that I just referenced, that was a terrific opportunity for people to come together. And, that's so welcoming, and I think it gives you the momentum. And then you can start to think, how can we use that critical mass to do good things. And Janet and her team have done a terrific job with this association. Eagle Heights, obviously, it's a West Irondequoit base, Irondequoit Eagles and Heights. If you've ever been in that neighborhood, sometimes you're up and down. So very, very good job, and I like that you were thoughtful in renaming it. So round of applause to the Eagle Heights Neighborhood Association. Pardee Hill. Is Sarah here? Sarah. Sarah, up. Rockaleone, Stephanie Warshaw, right? Yeah. I knew that. So Pardee Hill, as you can imagine, is near Pardee Road or Pardee Drive. I drive down it almost every day. Pardee Road. It was formed this past summer through the NEP and the Irondequoit Rotary. They're going to be setting up 2 little libraries throughout town, something we're seeing pop up and I think is certainly a good initiative for these neighborhood associations. And they're going to also add a community bulletin board, I believe one of the playgrounds.
Yeah, the little one that they put in
The pocket one on
Yeah.
Pardee, very good. So it's on that beautiful real hill that goes up to Empire.
good sledding.
And very good sledding, right? But and they've been very active. I'm a neighbor. I'm in the Laurelton neighborhood, but I'm nearby them, and I look at the good things they're doing. It's a terrific neighborhood. So thank you for all you're doing, and give a round of applause to the Pardee Hill Neighborhood Association. All right, their neighbor, Laurelton. We're almost through this, but it's a good thing. This could go on all night. Brett here? There he is, sitting up front. Brett Daly and Tricia, Skwolski?
Skralski.
I apologize.
You're good.
You know, people can pronounce my name, but they always spell it like the mattress, so they never spell it right. So Laurelton neighborhood, my new home, I grew up in Maywood. I now live in the Laurelton neighborhood. I'm very proud to be a member of the Laurelton Neighborhood Association, a terrific neighborhood. I wanted to propose calling it the Netsons Neighborhood Association, but Laurelton had been around for many years, and it was appropriate. They had a terrific neighborhood enhancement program, and you're going to see some banners now identifying the neighborhood association. So I'm glad those are going to go up. It's a very good use of the public right-of-way. Laurelton is one of our oldest neighborhoods, you know, like Winona Woods. I think Laurelton, I think Seabreeze. Laurelton really was one of the first, one of those neighborhoods that has been around for a while, and certainly a terrific neighborhood. And they have several events, from an ice cream social, of course, coming up, to holiday caroling, which I was glad to witness, and also participate in the Johnny's 5K run. So please give a round of applause to the Laurelton Neighborhood Association.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and then there's the, this must be a new one, the Winona Woods Neighborhood Association. There they are, okay. So I have to say, Amy, how are you? The Winona Woods Neighborhood Association really, I don't want to say it was the inspiration to this, but what I wanted to do, Winona Woods have been so successful, I wanted to take many of those best practices that they had cultivated and try and implement those to the other neighborhood associations. Winona Woods and Huntington Hills, they're established. They have that formal bedrock that really helps bring people together. And to replicate that, that's why we used Brad Huber, the former president of Winona Woods, as a consultant really over the last summer to help drive this effort. But, so much can be said about Winona Woods. They actually were only formed 3 years ago. I did not know that. I thought it was longer ago. But a very well-established neighborhood association. They've done several initiatives that really, I think, really have taken the lead and inspired others. It's a beautiful neighborhood. Again, one of our older neighborhoods, home to celebrities of the past. And if you've ever taken a stroll down there, it certainly is terrific. But, I look at Winona Woods and many things they do. One of the inspirations of this was Winona Woods, if you're a realtor selling a home, 4 years ago, you didn't say, come view it they might have said it, but it wasn't as often. The Winona Woods now showing in the Winona Woods Neighborhood Association, or the neighborhood. So that branding, I think, is really vital. And we're many neighborhoods in one town, but, Winona Woods, I think their efforts have really enhanced that neighborhood, raised property values. So keep up the good work. I don't have to tell you that, but thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So Governor Cuomo would be happy with this next one because it involves consolidation of 2 streets or neighborhoods. The Oak Grove neighborhood, Pine Grove, and Oak Lawn merging as one. Oh, Oak Ridge, excuse me. See, this is when I talk for too long. Oak Ridge, excuse me. A street I'm well familiar with. But, Ann Cunningham, this is what's terrific. Ann Cunningham, who wears many hats, one of which is an elected school board member, but still, you and Brian Charles, another school board member, have taken it upon yourselves to help bring this association together, and a lot of the stuff that they've recommended us pay attention to, some beautification efforts, some public safety efforts, and I really think it's just terrific. It's a neighborhood that's we've had a lot of initiatives that we wanted to communicate with, and I see the associations being as critical for that. So I know they have good leadership, but they're bringing good people together. I will also say this is former Supervisor Adam Bellow's neighborhood, so I don't think he's on the executive committee though, is he? We'll have to get him to join. But please give a round of applause to the Oak Grove Neighborhood Association. Is anyone here from Kings Court? Okay, I didn't think so. Now we have the Rogers Orchard Neighborhood Association, which I believe is newly named, correct? Because I'm seeing that for the first time. You formerly was Union Heights, correct? Oh, Union Races, excuse me. So Rogers Orchard, would you please come up? Is Andrew or Kate here? Oh, hey, hi, Kate. So this is the neighborhood really, Titus to Daly? Rogers. Makes sense. In between St. Paul and Hudson. And this was formerly, had a different name, but really good association. I'll note our county executive lives in this neighborhood association, and she actually mentioned that to me. So I have to notify her of the rename. But they were very active in our neighborhood enhancement program. What they did, they have a playground within the association. So what we're doing with them is we're working on identifying investments we can make through our capital improvement plan to the playground. So that's us up at the town board, our staff communicating with the neighborhoods and really having that direct line. Immensely helpful. So stuff like that really hopefully proves the worth of this initiative. But thank you so much for being here and keep up the good work. Thank you. And last but not least, and I don't show favorites, but this is probably the best named neighborhood, the NOLA neighborhood, in the spirit of Manhattan, Lower Manhattan, using initials or letters to name a neighborhood. That would be north of Longacre. So for those of you who live in the northwest part of town, or southwest part of town, excuse me, this is the area really from the city border on Longacre up to Rogers Parkway. And you were one of the first association meetings I went to, and there was 60 people in there, and I was blown away. And we've developed a very good rapport with you, but I'll tell you, the name really makes you stand out. But it's a great neighborhood. I love the spark and the enthusiasm. So keep up the good work, okay? All right, I need some water, but once again, many of you are participants in this, but please give a round of applause to all these neighborhood associations and all. I think the value of this, you'll see it play out in the long run, but I look at, for instance, the city of Rochester, and these neighborhood associations are, directly linked to many of the things that happen at City Hall. So it's very encouraging, and I wish you the best of luck. And I don't want to come to all your meetings, but I like coming to them. So feel free to continue to include us. And I think we can now convene with our body of work for the meeting. So you don't feel obligated to stay either, okay? You spend enough time volunteering on this. Well, I'm sure the town of Arundequoit is now sick of hearing the sound of my voice, so we can now move on to public input. Pete, someone mind grabbing the public input, Simon? I can do it. I'll do it. I got it. While Councilman Wayner grabs the public input sign-in sheet, I'll just remind people, in the past it's been a 3-minute limit, but certainly we can afford longer time if need be, and we never want to preclude people from talking, so if you need more time than 3 minutes, fine. But just be mindful we might have other speakers, and we're always happy to hear your thoughts. So anyone signed up, Pete? We need to more clearly mark these because I think some of the neighborhood folks might have signed in. But first up is Jeannie Colombo.
just discussing whether Huntington Hills Inc. is an association or not, so there's a debate there. But
You stand by yourself.
we expect our certificate next time, since we're from 1922. My name is Jeannie Colombo, and I am here as a private citizen. I live at 95 Huntington Hill Center entrance. I've lived in Arundecoit since I was 1 year old, though, and I'm 61, so I've been here for 60 years and believe it to be my town. What I have before me, and I've delivered to everyone on the board on February 7th, was a resolution regarding the town deer hunting program. Hopefully you've all read it. I just would like to read it into the record.
Of course.
Whereas no official counting of the deer herd has been conducted since 2002, whereas there have been issues with the implementation of the bow hunt regulations of conducting the program, and whereas we believe there needs to be more controls in place in an updating of the bow hunt regulations, and whereas a potential hunter commenced, as you know, a costly Article 78 proceeding against the town over this program, where the hunter believed he had a right to participate as opposed to the program being a privilege, and whereas the judge agreed with him and said that the town was arbitrary and capricious, and whereas it cost the town of Arundecoit taxpayers $14,257 to lose the Article 78 through their attorneys, and you have to remember that your program with the permits only brings in between $3,000 and $4,000, so you're at a $10,000 loss for doing this program. And you are aware that you use your town police to do that, so the cost of the town program has become significant to this town and needs to be addressed so that the hunters are not running the town. And whereas a bow hunting program for some of us we believe is inhumane to kill the deer in that manner, and there's a debate about that, but if you use the bow, which is the only way you can hunt in the town, the deer has to bleed out, which means the deer likes to travel to the neighbors' homes, necessitating the tracking of wounded deer by your police officers, and which leads to trespassing. And whereas school children walk through or near some of the disputed hunting sites that are now permitted, which is a safety issue for our children, which has not been addressed. And whereas the County of Monroe and the City of Rochester will not allow any hunting in Durand Eastman Park, as it has been deemed too dangerous and unsafe for the public. But it's okay to allow the hunting in my backyard and anyone else's backyard in the town of Arundecoit. And whereas the town council can stop or change the bow hunt regulations, which I've attached to the resolution that was sent, as it's in your own absolute discretion. You created the regulations under Chapter 132 of the Firearms, Section 132-6D, regarding special permits. So since you created it, you can change it. And therefore, the resolution that we're asking for the town to consider is that the culling of the herd should be temporarily or permanently stopped until you have a scientific counting of what exactly the program is accomplishing. You have not done any kind of study since 2002, so you're killing the herd. This year was over 100, and you don't even know why you're doing it anymore. There is precedent for stopping the culling of the herd. You did that when you had a dispute with your police department. So when you had a labor dispute, then it was okay to stop the program for a year. So if there's a financial issue, then you're willing to do it. But there's a safety issue here for most of us. Once you have an accounting of the herd, you'll determine whether or not you need to go ahead with a bow hunting program or not. If you do decide to go ahead with a bow hunting program, then you should consider that the town should only allow hunting on its own town-owned property. You've got Legionnaire Drive, Woodcraft, Southeast Plant, Newport Road, and Seneca Park Avenue. Hunt on your own property, ladies and gentlemen of the board. In this way, the homeowners who are opposed to hunting right next to their homes would be protected from the intrusion. You still would accomplish whatever the goal is that you still think you have from 2002, but at least we would not have to have this in our personal homes. The deer hunting we've discussed is very inhumane. The animals bleed out. They have to be tracked. This year alone, you had a pregnant deer was shot and let to die by itself. You've had where the police have had to come into various neighborhoods, both in East and West Arundecoit, shoot the animals. Last year, you had one of your officers shot before a former town board member, Paul Morosco, in front of his own two little children. They shot the deer dead in front of his children. They've died on my street on Huntington Hills. They've died on Hoffman Road. They've died down in Spring Valley. They've died in West Arundecoit. They sent a petition to all of you trying to stop where their hunting was going on, and they've watched pickup trucks come and just throw 2 or 3 or 4 deer in the back of the pickup truck all at once. So you have a slaughter program going, but you don't exactly know why. If you decide you need to do this to cull the herd, then limit it to your own public lands, and then you wouldn't have this problem. That's a win-win for everybody. With respect to the hunting program, if you look at your regulations, it doesn't have a minimum age. It should at least be 18. Why are we going to allow teenagers to run loose shooting the deer in the neighbors' backyards? This was left out of your own regulation. You should have no more than 30 hunters instead of the 100 that you have in the program each year. If you're going to have a hunting system, you should have a lottery system. That's what Judge Stander was trying to basically tell you, that you can't be arbitrary and capricious. This way, everyone has an equal chance to hunt, and no one thinks they have the right to hunt, nor does the police department get to have their friends become the key in how that's managed. It's become a little system down there. With respect to the hunting, it should be 1 deer per person or a certain amount of limited number of deer, as opposed to what you do right now is unlimited killings. So if you have, and like we were discussing, what's happening is they shoot the deer, they don't call the town because they don't want to admit that they've let the deer run loose, and then they just let those animals die on their own, which is not how the program is supposed to be run. The deer season should end whenever you meet your quota, whatever that is. The hunting should be obviously Monday through Friday. You have it as from sunrise to noon. And each year, what you do not do, you should publish in the Irondequoit Press, the town website, the DNC, and on your Channel 12, a list of the hunting sites, the dates, the times of the hunters, so that those of us that don't want them in our backyard at least know that the arrows will be coming through. In the alternative, if the town determines to allow hunting on individual taxpayer property over all of the town of Irondequoit, which is why you're going to end up with more lawsuits, you've already lost the one for $14,000, you're going to force Hunting and Hills, Inc. to sue you, because I can see where this is going with respect to the individual that started the hunting to begin with. We were named in the suit because he wants to hunt in our backyard, because we have that nice forever wild land that people use and enjoy and is part of the beauty of our town. So you're going to end up with another lawsuit, which I don't want to be involved with, which I'll have to be, not as myself as an individual, but as the president of the board. For why? So we can have more lawsuits? Another $15,000 to Harder Seacrest, that's $30,000. How many books could you have bought across the street for people? I mean, this can be solved so simply. In terms of that, only titled homeowners should be allowed to hunt. What's going on is they allow friends to come in and hunt. And one of the gentlemen that sued you, deep down, there was some scuttlebutt, we can't be sure of that, but he was going to rent it out so that he could make some money off of hunting in Irondequoit. That's just a rumor. We have no proof of that, but that if you just have titled homeowners hunting, at least you have the owners themselves hunting and not letting other people come into our town to hunt. And no one should be allowed to hunt in a home if their neighbors don't agree to it. And everybody should be notified by first-class mail that there's going to be hunting next door to them. And the hunting should not be the 150 feet from the neighbor's boundary line. It should be at least 500 feet. And they should have at least a square footage of at least 250 by 250. But in any event, you could eliminate all these problems if the person cannot hunt if his neighbors do not agree. And that would make it simple. These are just simple things, ladies and gentlemen of our town, that you all can do. You can fix this. You haven't fixed it yet. We asked you last year to fix it. You didn't do that. It caused a lawsuit. So because you weren't listening a year ago, it cost you $15,000 for Harder Seacrest to try to protect you, and they lost. So now the hunters are telling you, the town council members, how to run your program. You're in charge of the town. You're in charge of this regulation. You created it in 2002. You need to fix it. It's fixable. I've asked to assist my group that's here. Some of them are here and that want to speak. These things are fixable, but you're not doing it. So you need to become responsive to what's happening here before the next group. Now, when I was in court listening in, Harder Seacrest said, oh, they're going to work on this, but we haven't heard back from you. We wrote to you on February 7th, and not one of you sent an email or anything back to us. So if you're going to be responsive, then do your job. Use your business sense and fix this problem. I am not here saying you can hunt or not hunt, because that will never be resolved. People are for hunting or they're against hunting. That's not the issue here, and that's not where you want to have it. You want to have it how you control the neighborhood. But I take personal offense when the county and the city say you can't hunt in the park because it's not safe, and you're allowing them to hunt in my backyard where I live, and you're allowing children to see animals being slaughtered in front of them, and you're wasting money, and you're letting the hunters run you. The
Ms.
tail
Colville.
is running the tiger. I'm done.
Okay.
But you need to, I would like to know why no one responded to us.
Can I just say this? You are right. The judge did order that we need to basically formalize a policy and guidelines.
That was 4 months ago. What have you-
I understand. It wasn't. No, it wasn't 4 months ago.
It was
but
in
anyway,
November.
what I will say is certainly as we look to promulgate new regulations, we will of course include yourself, the organization, any other stakeholder that's expressed an interest. I'm glad you're here, and certainly there's a lot of thoughtful input into this. So certainly, yes, of course, as we look to promulgate a new regulation, we will include you.
It's February.
Okay.
The program starts again
No,
September,
we won't.
October.
I
and-
understand.
and that's what happened last year. So
We-
what date are you all setting it up for? What's the date?
We have now an order to create a new regulation, so we're starting the process of that. Okay,
And, well, we would certainly appreciate being present.
very good. I know,
you.
and you will. And I'll just say, I know a lot of folks are here, and certainly Jeannie's the president, Ms. Colombo's the president of the association, and I let her go on, certainly because she's always thoughtful in her contributions, also because we had advance notice that you were going to be presenting this resolution. I just ask the other folks, speaking on the deer hunting, just try and keep it closer to the 3 minutes, as, we certainly have this on the record, but certainly we welcome the input. The next up is David Reese. Evening.
Good evening. My name is David Reese. I live at 135 Nob Hill on the other side of Arundequoit. So, a town-sanctioned program that permits bow hunters to go out shooting deer in people's backyards. Everyone I work with, everyone I know, outside of Arundequoit, to whom I've mentioned this, have responded with absolute incredulity. You must be wrong. That can't be true. That's utterly insane. And I've had to say, nope, well, yes, it is. Totally irrational, but that is indeed what's happening. Okay? The fact that this program ever got this far and still hasn't been curtailed or discontinued, I believe, is an absolute travesty. Now, there are many fronts on which this makes absolutely no sense. Four in particular. The most important is public safety, safety of our citizens and safety of our children. The second one is the actual questionable efficacy of these hunting culling programs to reduce deer populations. Third is the ethical treatment of animals. And fourth, which might be nearest and dearest to your hearts, is the welfare and financial standing of the town. Okay? So I'll be as quick as I can. But with regard to public safety, 150 feet. My next door neighbor has allowed deer hunting in his backyard. I can go stand in his backyard, the required distance that a deer hunter has to be from the property lines, and my house, my backyard, is right there. My grandchild is right there in the backyard. 150 feet is nothing. It is an extreme danger to people living in our town's neighborhoods. I spoke to someone in Mr. Seeley's office, I believe his first name was Patrick, and he told me, yeah, but, that's okay because this is only allowed between 5 o'clock in the morning and noon, thereabouts. So, there's no risk to kids. I would submit that perhaps that is exactly when young children are walking to school and walking to bus stops. That's when people in my neighborhood are walking their dogs. That 150 feet from my neighbor's property, 150 feet back to my backyard, to the street, to across the street, Arrow would travel that far easily. So, while hunters, if they are complying, may stop at that 150-foot mark, great. The arrows don't stop at 150 feet. They keep going. There's also the issue of the mental well-being of children. On our street, on Nob Hill, we've had neighbors tell us that in the morning they've seen hunters dragging bloody, bleeding out deer carcasses across the road while there were children on the street being thrown into the back of pickup trucks. This is not civilized. This is not civilized, and it's very harmful. More quickly, on the issue of efficacy of these programs, I have researched this long and deep, and the conclusion from dozens and dozens of studies over 20 years is that light to moderate hunting does not reduce the deer population over time in an otherwise stable suburban neighborhood. What happens is, when a number of deer are killed, the herd tries to keep a stable number. The female deer become more fertile, they become more likely to become pregnant, and they become much more likely to have twins or triplets rather than a single fawn.
Sir, again, we're well beyond the 3 minutes, so. I understand, so I'm just. making sure
Okay,
you're mindful
I
of that.
listened to a lot of stuff for the first half hour I was in here. I think this is very important. Okay? Thirdly, ethical treatment of animals. Yes, when deer are shot with arrows, they generally need to run away, fearful and in pain, and bleed out somewhere until they're found. Not real great. And lastly, you know, as it applies to the town, to our community, this program has already resulted in the taxpayers having to pay $14,000 in a lawsuit associated with the program. This is an unpleasant thought, but can you imagine how insignificant that lawsuit would be and how insignificant that financial award would be compared to what happens if a child or somebody walking their dog gets hit with an arrow? Can you imagine that lawsuit? Can you imagine the public relations disaster? When people buy houses in West Irondequoit and East Irondequoit right now, when they buy those houses, nobody tells them that their neighbor can say, oh yeah, I'm going to let people hunt deer with bows and arrows 150 feet away from your property line. They don't know that. When that comes out, which it most surely is going to, what do you imagine that's going to do for home sales in the area? Probably nothing very good. I could go on, but I won't.
Certainly, if there's anything you'd like to submit that you haven't said, you can submit it to the clerk or email us as well.
Well, what I can do is I can email you a substantial amount of documentation.
Of course.
Okay?
Thank you.
This has got to stop. If it doesn't, at the very least, nobody should be granted the right to have people hunt deer in their backyard unless both adjacent neighbors agree in writing that that's all right. That is the very minimum.
Thank you, Mr. Reese.
Thank you.
Lisa, is it DeLuise? Excuse me. Evening.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Of course.
I promise I'll keep it to 3 minutes.
It's an involuntary cap, but thank you.
Okay, I'm Lisa DeLuise. I live at 63 Spring Valley Drive. I've lived there for 20 years, over 20 years. I fully support the bow hunt resolution presented by our Huntington Hills president. And I want to state for the record that I am 100% opposed to hunting anywhere in Huntington Hills. And more specifically to the Spring Valley garden plots purchased recently by Mr. Gear for two important reasons. One, it's not safe, okay? I've submitted some pictures, which I apologize the audience can't see, but Exhibit A is an aerial view of the Gear garden plots. It's a small parcel of land, about a third of an acre. It's bounded by Huntington Hills private land, including Spring Valley Drive. A Gear garden plot borderline is just opposite my driveway. Exhibits B, C, and D show how small the parcel is and how close it is located to Spring Valley and Hoffman Roads. From the most distal border of his property, you can see my car in the driveway and where I set my garbage for pickup. Exhibit E gives a perspective of where the school bus picks up my neighbor's son relative to the Gear property. The point of these exhibits is to emphasize that the Gear property is in the heart of a residential neighborhood where cars and people pass daily to the north, east, and south within feet of his land, the garden plots. These features present a unique safety concern that differ significantly from other approved bow hunt sites in Huntington Hills. Okay, if the town deems, again, the 977-acre Durand Eastman Park is unsafe for hunting, how in the world could a tiny parcel embedded in a residential community be considered safe? Second, I'm opposed to my tax dollars having to pay overtime to police officers to track the hit deer that run beyond the approved hunting site and onto private property. This scenario is 100% assured to occur on the Gear property. I'm opposed to officers having to be taken off important duties, like finding the criminals who ransacked and stole irreplaceable valuables from my house and my neighbors this past fall to track the deer. This year, I know of 2 incidences, but apparently there were many more, where a hit deer ran onto private land from an approved conifer site, which is a much larger parcel of private land bounded by acres of open woods. One example occurred on October 19th. A hit deer ran into the common lands opposite Spring Valley around 8 in the morning. The police didn't show up until about 5 p.m. to track it, and our Huntington Hills president was not informed of the event, which was in violation of an agreement made. Bow hunting is inhumane. It should not be allowed in Huntington Hills, period, and I don't want my tax dollars to pay for officers to be taking off important duties to track the deer. A couple other concerns. Bow hunting on the Gear property will negatively impact my property value and my ability to sell my house, and I should not have to be subjected to the vulgarities of bow hunting in the peace and quiet of my own home, as the poor Marasco families and others apparently have suffered in recent years. So finally, I would like to also state that it's my understanding that the garden plots, the use of garden plots, is bounded by Huntington Hills covenants that only permit hiking and gardening. Because of this, I question whether the town board or the police have any authority to rule on what can or cannot be done on the Gear garden plots. That's what I had to say, so thank you for giving me the opportunity.
And I see Steve Wild still here?
Yep,
Oh, there he is, right there, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. Good evening.
Mr. Past President, how are you?
I'm very good. My name's Steve Wild. I live at 500 Hoffman Road. I'm here tonight in support of Jeannie Colombo's resolution as it was presented to you in a letter. As our supervisor mentioned, I'm a past president of the Huntington Hills Incorporated. Now, this is an unusual corporation. It is not truly a neighborhood association. The purpose of the corporation is to look out for the nearly 65 acres of wooded, forever wild, common area. Now, the area that I speak of is contained within the Huntington Hills subdivision, of which there are, if I remember correctly, 63 residents. Some of that property is rather large, anywhere from an acre to 5 acres per piece of property. The issue that we have is because of the large wooded area of the common area, and the large area of the personal property owners, it makes it ripe for instituting a bow hunt program because you consider it wide open area. Several years ago, the corporation and the board, along with the members, agreed on certain rules and regulations regarding the use of the common area. One of those rules is absolutely no hunting of any kind. In a meeting that we were in last January, a year ago January, in 2016, a DEC officer answered my question of whether tracking a deer is considered hunting. And he said, yes, it is. Well, it does make sense. The concern here is because of a permitted property within the Huntington Hills subdivision, being almost all of them are adjacent to the Huntington Hills common areas. If you were to look at a tax map, actually there is a town map that's in the process of being updated so it would be clearer for everyone to understand. I think our supervisor has a copy of that. Oh, and by the way, I have spent time with David in discussion of this very subject, and we agreed that things as they go forward will be working on hopefully a resolution to the current bow hunt program. Well, okay, so the town map shows, this map I speak of, shows that many of these residents, most of them, do butt up to the commons area. The commons area is not just one small piece, it's dispersed throughout the boundary area of the subdivision. And in fact, I think we have 9 separate tax bills because of that, because they are separate. So, whenever a resident property is permitted to hunt or allow hunting, in all likelihood, if a deer gets wounded, it most likely will run to a wooded area. Well, that wooded area could very well be the commons area. And in fact, that has happened this past hunting season. There was an agreement with the chief of police that I would be notified as president at that time whenever an officer had to track onto the commons area. And I told him, quite frankly, I do want to be called on that because I want to make a record of it, but I will not give permission for the police officer to hunt a deer on commons area. I could not do that because of the position of the board. So we have this situation, and we need to get it resolved. So I encourage you all to read the resolution. If you have questions, many of us are willing to work with you to try and reach some, as Jeannie called it, a win-win situation. So if you have any questions, please get in touch with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Forgive me, it's very nice. Is it Nancy Reese?
It is.
Oh, very, very nice cursive.
Well, thank you. I guess that speaks to my 29 years as a teacher in West Arundequoit Central School
Do they still
District.
teach it?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay,
Yes, we do. I'm here this evening. My name is Nancy Reese again. Former teacher in West Arundequoit Central School District, currently residing at 135 Nob Hill. I'm here to speak to the hunting piece in support of the resolution. It has been my experience, having moved to our new home in Nob Hill over the last year, that during the hunting period, it occurs during a time when children and families are getting ready for the day, some of them getting ready to go to school. Some of those children being driven to school, some of them waiting for the school bus, and for others, as I've witnessed, walking through the woods to go to Dake or to the high school. I think it, for some children whose families are hunters, as were my ancestors. Those children may understand seeing a deer being brought out of the woods and loaded into a truck, and respect what has happened. For other children, their families may not have had that kind of experience nor support that kind of experience. So for those children, especially given that time of year, seeing a deer slaughtered and brought through the property and loaded onto a truck can be very devastating. I would also like to comment on my husband's thoughts about when an animal's wounded and runs off. I also have grandchildren who stay with me. I have pets, as do my neighbors. What happens when that police officer doesn't find that wounded animal? Coyotes? Do I really want coyotes attracted to my property? I don't think so. Would you want coyotes in your backyard where your children are? Plus, I bought the property in Nob Hill not knowing this was going to be happening. I'm retired. I want to walk in the woods. And for part of the year, I'm frightened to now. I'm frightened that I'm going to get shot with an arrow, or my animal's going to get hurt, or my grandchild. So I have not free access to my own property for part of the year. No one asked my permission. So again, please reconsider this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Mike Nolan.
Good evening, Mike Nolan, 350 Kings Highway North. Switch gears from the deer conversation, talk about I-Square for a minute. Not necessarily in a very positive way, but last year, following a 3-month battle with Comida, where our county executive used our pilot agreement in a failed, politically motivated attack on I-Square, Wendy and I spent countless days, sleepless nights, defending ourselves and our credibility, even when we were in complete compliance with that agreement. Last June, we reached out to Supervisor Seeley to request the town's support in removing the additional requirements that our pilot had that were beyond the normal for Comida. We expected that our requests would be met and considered in an open and transparent process, as this was the hallmark of many of your campaigns. We thought there would be open workshops, public meetings, public input, questions, answers. We thought that each board member would ask their own questions, do their own research, draw their own conclusions, and vote based on the information that they gathered along the way. Well, that certainly was not the case. Over the last 8 months, since my letter, Mr. Seeley, a handful of private meetings, no real discussion, no public meeting, no public input, and certainly no real understanding of the effects of your decision. It was a very costly one. They say that a decision without knowledge leaves the outcome to chance. I'm truly bothered by the way that this was handled. Wendy and I deserve a lot better.
Next up, signed up is Kate Ross. I think Kate might have just signed in. And I think Megan was also here for the Neighborhood Association. So that concludes the signed up portion of public input. If there's anyone else in the audience who wishes to speak for public input, you are now welcome to do so. Those who have not signed up. Yes, sir. Please say your name and address.
Dean Giblin.
Why don't you wait till you come up to the mic?
Sorry.
The folks at home.
Dan Giblin. I live at 1044 Lakeshore Boulevard in Arundequoit. I've been a resident of Arundequoit for 23 years. I wasn't going to speak today. I just heard that this meeting was going to take place, so I thought I would come and listen in. I know when my wife and I moved here in 2003, school brought us, our jobs kept us. And I remember reading everything I could about Arundequoit at the time. What I learned in 2003 is Arundequoit had the second highest deer-car accident ratio in the state. I mean, there was clearly a problem. I'm part of the bow hunting program. My son is as well. He's a freshman at UB on a full scholarship in engineering. We've been in it about 3 years. I think it's a great program. I think some of the people might have some information that's wrong. We hunt from tree stands. They're portable tree stands, so you got to take them in, take them out. There's no harm to the trees. All your shots are within 20 yards. The deer that we take die within seconds. There's no tracking them on people's yards, anything like that. It's a real tough program to get into. I know you have to go through the hunter safety program. You also have to go through a bow safety program. And the Arundequoit PD, their testing is 2 years, and it's very strenuous to get through. So I think they do a good job with that. The 150-foot distance isn't something, it's not the town that enforces that, that's the DEC, that's statewide. So I know that I'm a runner. I've been a runner for over 18 years, and I run with my dog all the time. We run through Durand Eastman Park. Last month in January, we went through Durand Eastman Park, and I picked 19 deer ticks off my dog. This past Sunday, we walked through Camp Eastman just on the trails. I picked 3 deer ticks off her. My dog already has Lyme disease, and she's always on a leash. So it just tells you the problem that we have with deer ticks in this town. Sorry. The conversation regarding the coyotes, I know that a full-grown deer was taken down on Rock Beach Road behind my house by coyotes. And we notified the DEC and Arundequoit PD, and they came out and they found it alarming. I see coyotes all the time in Durand Eastman Park when I run through there. I don't think it's the coyotes are here. I don't think it has anything to do with the deer program. And last fall, before hunting season, I was coming home from work and coming down Lakeshore Boulevard, traveling eastbound, just past Rock Beach Road. They had 18 deer crossed over Lakeshore Boulevard, stopped traffic dead. And they went from this acorn tree to learn across the street to the other acorn tree, back to the other acorn tree. I see deer getting killed all the time on Lakeshore Boulevard, vehicle accidents. And, there's a deer problem in this town. So I appreciate the bow hunting program, and I hope that it continues.
Thank you, Mr. Giblin.
Thank you.
Anyone else who hasn't addressed the board wish to do so now?
I'll say a word, David.
Of course. Just state your name and address.
Yeah. My name is Ed Stevens. I live at 491 Hoffman, and I've been an active participant in the program for this will be my 13th year coming up. Never had problems with really any parts of it, with neighbors, with associations, with anything, until this whole issue came up with John Gear. Seems to be a real
Can I just ask that we not refer to people by name?
Okay.
Just for
The vegetable plots over there off
Thank you.
Spring Valley.
Appreciate that.
And, that's, am I in favor of that? Not necessarily, but I'll leave that to the powers that be. I think there are some good points to Jeannie's resolution. I certainly don't agree with a lot of it. My son hit a deer 2 days ago, totaled his car, had no collision. My wife has Lyme disease. Neighbors 2 doors down have Lyme disease. There's constant problems with the deer. I've been on the phone with Steve, and he's got 21 deer in his yard, and I've got 19 in mine, and we live less than a quarter mile apart. There's no doubt there's overpopulation. And for those of you that talk about the painful death of a deer getting arrowed, I don't know if any of you remember just a few years ago when the deer had a disease that was going through the herd when they were pooping out the back and their whole hind ends were solid black, and eventually over a period of weeks they would pass out and die. You know, Steve and I got a full body sample to give to the state. And if you look at some of those deer down there, their ribs are sticking out. They're hungry. You know, there wasn't any acorns this year, and, you know, they're overpopulated. Even taking 100 deer, I mean, you don't go other places and see, you know, 20 deer here and a quarter mile, 20 deer there. That doesn't happen, you know, in the fields of Wayne County or in Dansville or in other places. I mean, that's not normal. And, you know, some of the young ones, I mean, I saw fawns that were born this year in August. I mean, in August, they're like the size of barely larger than a beagle, and that's not normal either. Their reproductive cycles are not normal. There's a lot of things about this deer herd that are just not normal. You know, I have degrees in biology. I taught biology in high school for many years, and I'm a firm believer that conservation is necessary. I mean, I've raised literally hundreds of thousands, even probably $2 million total for conservation efforts. And, you know, I firmly believe that hunting is conservation. And like the man before me said, you know, this 150 foot is not Arundecoit's rule, it's a state law. And I had a friend tell me back a couple weeks ago that he heard of 2 people in the whole United States actually getting shot with an arrow by accident, and that was back in the 1940s. So, I mean, the safety factor with bows is not like it is with guns. It's much, much safer. Bow hunters are typically, like the man before me said, you shoot at 20 yards. You know, you don't take 50, 60, 80-yard shots. You don't have bullets bouncing all through the woods. Arrows don't do that. And, you know, I understand that a lot of people don't know that if they didn't grow up doing it. I've been shooting a bow since I was 9. You know, my 9th birthday, one of my father's friends gave me a bow. And that's just, I mean, I don't even gun hunt. And, you know, I eat venison 2 or 3 times a day, and it's just a way of life. And it's not all from Arundecoit. I hunt other places, but I think you'll be doing a tremendous disservice, you know, to the people of Arundecoit in terms of car accidents, in terms of Lyme disease. And there's nothing left to eat. The reason you see them around the houses is because that's the only place there's food is in the flower beds. You know, there's nothing left in the woods in this town. You know, if they could eat it, they already ate it. So I guess that's all I got for tonight, but I'm sure this conversation will go on.
Of course. And look forward to it. And so if there's anyone else in the audience?
May I respond?
No, actually, I'd rather not. We generally have not allowed the response. Certainly in subsequent public inputs you can, but look, I think this is a dialogue that will include many of the people in this room. I think Jeannie knows we've always been willing to sit down and try and work our way through some of these issues. So, yes.
Okay, about procedure in these meetings, though. I think it would be fair that if people are required to sign up to speak, that they're required to sign up to speak, instead of waiting till the end of the meeting, hearing what the...
Okay, so noted.
And then being able to attack...
Sir, did you want to come speak?
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry, it'll take me a while. I just had a knee.
Take your time.
Say what happened to you.
2 weeks ago today, I had my knee replaced. Yeah. My name is Stephen Greavy.
Steve, do you want to sit?
No. In fact, it's good to be up.
Okay, good.
My name is Stephen Greavy. I'm a resident of Huntington Hills. I'm also a member of the Conservation Board. Today, I'm mostly going to speak as a resident of Arundecoit and Huntington Hills. I read the resolution, and I agree with a lot of it. And I had asked Mr. Wild and Jeannie if there were any talks about
the bow hunting situation in Huntington Hills if I could be present. And they know that I have a degree in environmental science and that I studied wildlife management, but they have not invited me to any of the meetings. And the reason is, I think, although I like you both a lot, I think the reason is I have a different point of view. My point of view comes from scientific evidence and from sound deer management practice. And I am constantly on the phone, not constantly, but frequently on the phone with Art Kirsch, who is the head of the deer management program in Region 9 in Avon. And I spoke to him today, in fact, and he regrets not being able to be here because he also he can't drive. He's had foot surgery. But he said many things, and we've tried to educate, but it seems like it goes in one ear and out the other. And the person that told you, Eddie, that my wife Googled bow deer accidents.
I know it's you, I just didn't want to say that.
All right. I welcome anybody, and I'm not saying that my wife is infallible, but she told me she found only 2 incidences since the late 40s where anybody was hurt with an arrow. You know, the hunting is generally, I'm a bow hunter myself. I don't hunt in Arundecoit, but I'm a bow hunter. And generally, the hunter is shooting down the arrow. They don't allow compound bows, which could carry an arrow a little farther. In a traditional bow that they allow here, 30 yards, 40 yards is about max. And when you're shooting up, the arrow with gravity seeks the ground. Nobody. Children may be traumatized by a deer. I understand that people have that concern. Being dragged, witnessing killing, because nobody knows where our meat comes from slaughterhouses or whatever, but it's traumatizing maybe. I can understand that argument, but from a safety standpoint, I just don't understand it. I would like to say that the Huntington Hills present board, the board of last year and this year, have not consulted they don't get the false impression that they represent everybody that lives in Huntington Hills. And they haven't said that. They haven't come out and said that, but they're not seeking any advice from people who have the opposite point of view, where we welcome the bow hunt because the understory of plants has been eaten to nothing. And that's why all the invasive plants are in Durand Eastman Park, and that's why all the invasive plants are in our neighborhood, because the deer have just overwhelmed the environment. If they see you and they look at you like, you don't. It's not just that they're domesticated; it's that they're hungry. What I would like an opportunity to take the resolution and develop a critique of it. And I really understand the situation down in Spring Valley, and I share your concerns. I really do. There's many things that those of us who want the bow program in Huntington Hills, we share a lot of the same concerns, and we believe that if the neighbors surrounding a vetted site that the police have to vet for the site, if the neighbors around do not want the hunting, then that should be strongly taken in consideration. But anyway, I would like the opportunity to do that, and I am going to recommend since I am the wildlife representative on the Conservation Board, I'm going to recommend that our next meeting, that the Conservation Board take on, they've already asked me to review and I've done it on an informal basis, review the bow hunting program and recommend changes. And I've met with the chief of police, I met with the former chief of police, I've met with Officer McCackey. But I think we need to do it on a more formal basis. And I'm going to suggest at the next Conservation Board that we have that we take this on as a task that the board takes, for consideration and recommend to the supervisor, the town board, and the chief of police, some reasonable changes. And I want to say too that Arundecoy is within Region 9 of the DEC, and all the towns surrounding Rochester, Parrington, Greece, Arundecoy, Brighton, Penfield, are all bound by bow only. It's bow only hunting, and every other town that I know of there's maybe a couple of minor restrictions that the town places on the bow program. But where I hunt is in the town of Brighton. There are absolutely no regulations besides the DEC regulations, and we're a little different. The neighborhood's a little closer in spots, but there is no problem in these neighborhoods. And until a few incidences that have happened, there haven't been any in Huntington Hills either. So
Disagree. I'm just going
I think I'll wrap it up in saying that
I know, and
Yeah.
it's a voluntary 3 minutes, and we do our best to remind people.
I'm a member of town government. I don't get a chance to talk much. So anyway, what I would like to say is that, we have a program that is considered a model program in the United States for deer management because we were one of the, as mentioned, the highest deer accident rate. I think at one time we were the highest county. Monroe County was in the whole United States. So we are modeled. The town of Ithaca has been consulting. They have a severe problem. So that's my goal is to make help facilitate some changes, but based on sound deer management practices, not on emotion.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'll note, Miss, I'll just note that's a moose on your shirt, not a deer, correct?
That's a moose, yeah. Jackson Hole.
Okay.
Thank you.
Miss, certainly we're going to continue this conversation. But can I just ask, pardon? Understood. That's part of the conversation that will ensue moving forward, okay? Okay. Soon. In short order, which is as good as I can give you right now. But you know I'm going to. Okay? Okay. Of course we are. Okay, very good. Seeing no other interested public input participants, I think we can now move on to the financial report.
With this report, I'm providing the most recent preliminary look at the 2016 year-end townwide financial results as compiled through January 31st, after which I will review the January 2017 results. The 2016 books will remain open until the end of February so as to allow for continued processing of outstanding commitments and to properly account for and book the remaining revenue that is owed to the town. During the March Town Board meeting, I will again present the most current 2016 preliminary results along with the February 2017 monthly financial report. At a mid-year Town Board meeting, the town's auditors from the Bonadio Group will present highlights of the audited 2016 financial statements and audit report. So as of January 31st, the total town expenses for 2016 are favorable at 96.8% of budget, $33,183,000. Those expenses are comprised of what is actually spent, $32,631,000, and encumbered expenses of $552,000. The $552,000 of encumbrances equate to 1.6% of budget and indicate that there are still services and/or supplies yet to be billed. Expenses in the general fund are below budget as well. They equate to 97% of budget, $19,588,000. The breakdown is encumbrances, $267,000, and actual expenses, $19,320,000. The collective highway fund expenses of $5,234,000 are favorable to budget at 98.6%. They include remaining encumbrances for asphalt and for the purchase of a service van in Highway 1, for parts and commercial vehicle maintenance in Highway 3. The library expenses of $2,286,000 are slightly below budget at 99.9%. They include $429,000 of bond anticipation note costs for the new library. The expenses in the sewer fund are $3,870,000, 89.6% of budget. Stormwater drainage expenses total $1,036,000, 97.9% of budget.
Interesting.
As a result of significant bond payments across funds in December, the sewer fund saw a substantial increase in expenditures as a percent of budget. The sewer December debt payments were $295,000. The drainage fund also saw a considerable increase in expenditures as a percent of budget. December debt payments there were approximately $237,000. The 2016 general fund revenue received as of January 31st is $18,180,000 and equates to 92% of budget. The major general fund revenue items received to date are 100% of real estate taxes of $10.6 million, 102% of pilot revenue of $193,000, pilot payment in lieu of taxes, sales tax of $2,536,000, 68.9% of budget for 8 months of activity. A full year of mortgage tax equal to 115% of budget, or $833,000. The total annual per capita state aid of $613,000, and 53.3% of franchise cable TV revenue of $373,000. Additionally, recreation program fees are at 95.4% of budget in the amount of $286,000. An item of note, and this is a preview to the next report, after this report was published, the town received the fourth quarter sales tax revenue of $1,057,000, and with that receipt, the sales tax revenue will then equate to 98% of budget for 11 months of activity, leaving 1 month still outstanding. The town revenue summary after 12 months, total revenue is $31.4 million, or 95.8% of budget. Town revenue, along with appropriated fund balances, total $32.4 million, 95.9% of budget. Real estate taxes are $16.5 million across funds. The library has received 99.8% of revenue, $2,284,000. The consolidated highway revenue is $5,366,000, 101.3% of budget. Sewer has collected 101% of budget, a total of $4.3 million. So this concludes my 2016 financial report as of the end of January. The second report, the 2017 financial results for the town as of January 31st. Total expenditures, total expenses, actual as well as encumbered, are $3,960,000, or 11.5% of budget, which is higher than the 8.3% of the year that has elapsed. The breakdown is actual expenditures, $2,353,000, and encumbered expenses, $1,606,000. Encumbrances are typically high early in the year as departments commit to services, supplies, and commodities that will be needed throughout the year. The general fund expenses are above 8.3% at 10.9% of budget, or $2,182,000. Here's the breakdown. Actual expenditures, $1,532,000, encumbrances, $650,000. Together, the expenses in the highway funds are $1,051,000, or 18.2% of budget, above the 8.3% of the year that has elapsed. The highway funds have sizable encumbrances, primarily for fire-related equipment and supplies in Highway 3 and salt in Highway 4. Expenditures in the library are under budget at $129,000, or 5.4% of budget. The sewer expenses are 12.3% of budget, equating to $521,000, due primarily to fire-related costs of equipment and supplies. The expenses in stormwater drainage total $44,000, 5.7% of budget. The general fund revenue received is $6,007,000, or 30.5% of budget. Included in revenue is $1.5 million of insurance recovery for the fire. Without that revenue, the town would be at 22.9% of budgeted revenue, or $4,507,000. At the end of January, the town had received $4.2 million of real estate tax, only 39% of budget, as the tax collection period was not complete. $109,000 of pilot revenue has been received, and that's approximately 57% of budget. Regarding the entire town, $11.4 million, or 33.9% of revenue has been received to date. Without the $1.5 million of insurance recovery for the fire, the town would have received approximately $9.9 million, or 29.5% of budgeted revenue. Approximately $7.5 million of that amount received is real estate tax, equating to 44.6% of that line item. The library has received $1.6 million, or 66.9% of its budgeted revenue. 31.4%, or $1,758,000, is in for the highway. At this point, sewer has received, as of the end of January, sewer had received $1,929,000, 46.5% of that fund's budget. This concludes my financial report for the month of January 2017.
Thanks, Annie, and I know that sales tax update was very encouraging, and nice to see. We're almost at our entire year's expectations was still a month ago, so that's good. Any questions for Madam Comptroller? Thank you. Hearing none, motion to approve the financial report? Move. And a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. The financial report is approved.
Approval of minutes, January 5th, 2017, the organizational meeting.
Motion, please.
Moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved.
January 10, 2017, the workshop meeting.
Motion? Move. Second?
Second.
Thanks, John. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Workshop meeting minutes are approved.
January 17, 2017, the regular town board meeting.
Motion?
Moved.
A second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Any abstentions?
don't have it in front of me. I think that's the one I
Yes.
abstained on. Yes.
Mr. Wayner abstains. Minutes are approved, 4-0 with one abstention. We'll now move on to items for board action. I'm going to actually ask Madam Clerk to call up resolutions 18 and 19 under supervisor, because we have a very patient individual in the office who's willing to serve, in the audience who's willing to serve us, and
Well, it was an interesting public meeting.
very good, sir. So please call up item 18, Barb.
Item number 18, filling a Conservation Board vacancy.
Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you. This resolution would fill a vacancy on our Conservation Board with Lawrence Sorrell. Mr. Sorrell is perhaps one of the most qualified people we've ever appointed. His resume is extensive, and I'm very confident he's going to add a lot to this board. He has a very extensive career, both professionally and volunteer, but certainly our boards continue to attract people with diverse backgrounds, but his certainly is one that can contribute wonderfully to the Conservation Board. So any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Please stand up, be recognized for the folks at home. Congratulations. It's a little tradition we have.
I look forward to the Conservation Board meeting that talks about deer.
Very good.
You were at a good meeting.
You were at a good
You're ready
meeting.
for it.
Okay,
Item number
thank you, Barb. Number 19 now, please. We'll just,
19, authorizing the appointment of an alternate member to the Town Planning Board.
motion, please. And a second?
Second.
Okay, this would fill a vacancy currently in the alternate position on the planning board. We created the alternate position through a local law 2 years ago. It's been very valuable. It's just provided a pipeline for service as a full-time voting member on the board, but also has helped ensure that we have full participation at board meetings. And this resolution, with the board's approval, would appoint Michael Hobbs as the planning board alternate to a term expiring December 31st, 2019. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. I don't believe Mr. Hobbs is here, but we appreciate his service very much. And with that, we can now move back to item number 1, Madam Clerk.
Item number 1, regarding State Environmental Quality Review Act compliance for a local law to amend Town Code Chapter 235, Article 3, interpretation of district boundaries.
Motion
Moved.
and a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Kelly, an explanation, please?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This would essentially it's a change in our code language that would ensure clarity in the zoning designation for parcels that are current or former rail line parcels.
And this resolution is a negative declaration on state environmental quality review, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from Ms. Kelly? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 2, adopting a local law to amend Town Code Chapter 235, Article 3, interpretation of district boundaries.
Motion
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Thank you. This would adopt the aforementioned proposed local law that Ms. Kelly just spoke to. There was a public hearing held, I believe, last month. We do not have any input from the public on this matter. This is a good example of providing a greater case probably for our code needing a more thorough revision. Certainly instances like these, we want to make sure we're not having an instance where it would be a conflicting scenario and provide us difficulty in making a determination. So my thanks to Carrie Ivers, who's not here tonight, for recognizing this, but also doing the work to propose the new local law. And with that, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted. Local law is adopted.
Item number 3, authorizing a 2017 tax levy on 247 Winona Boulevard, Rochester, New York, 14617.
Can I have a motion, please?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Just a little preamble about the next 3 resolutions. 3 properties, 247 Winona Boulevard, 42 Harrison Terrace, and 178 Pine Hill Drive were demolished pursuant to I believe, Chapter 104 of our local code, vacant and unsafe properties. Through a thorough process, these were determined to be a public safety hazard, and as such, they were remediated through demolition. State law as well as town law allows us to assess cost incurred by the town to demolish these properties onto the property tax bill, and as such, subsequently added to the the subsequent property tax levy. Any questions or comments? The board members, I believe, have a breakdown of the additions to the levy. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 4, authorizing a 2017 tax levy on 42 Harrison Terrace, Rochester, New York, 14617.
Motion, please.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. As Madam Clerk said, this would involve authorizing the costs incurred through the demolition of 42 Harrison Terrace onto the tax levy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 5, authorizing a 2017 tax levy on 178 Pine Hill Drive, Rochester, New York, 14617.
Motion, please. And a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The resolution is adopted, and thank you for town staff for their hard work on that. And I'll note, we started with 5 properties to be remediated, 2 of which were not demolished. One is being rehabilitated, and the other is being demolished by a new owner of the property, or pending demolition. So the town will continue to ensure that properties do not propose a public safety hazard when they've been abandoned or left in disrepair. And please move on to item number 6, Madam Clerk.
Item number 6, authorizing the purchase of one 2017 mower to be used by the Bureau of Parks.
Motion, please.
Move.
And a second.
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Weiner. Mr. Kiley, an explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The resolution in front of the town board this evening authorizes the purchase of one 14-foot wide mower with a Carefree tire kit. This purchase was budgeted in the 2017 town budget, and we went through off of a state contract through MTE Turf Equipment Solutions for this 14-foot wide mower, and the cost of this is $68,418.24.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions or comments from the board? And this commissioner will be used primarily for the Camp Eastman and our ball fields?
That is correct, sir. This piece of equipment was budgeted in 2017 to really mow a lot of our larger fields, being our new baseball fields here on the Town Hall campus, and by the end of this year, hopefully, 4 new soccer fields at Camp Eastman.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 7, authorizing the purchase of one 2017 or newer model year backhoe loader to be used by the Bureau of Parks.
Motion, please.
Moved.
Second.
And thank you, Councilwoman Hushler-Ray. Mr. Kiley, an explanation, please.
Thank you. This expenditure, another budgeted expenditure within the 2017 budget to replace a backhoe in the Bureau of Parks, specifically at the cemetery. We put out a bid package on January 26, 2017. That bid package was opened on February 7th, and the lowest responsible bidder was Liftech Equipment Companies in the amount of $94,534.28. This backhoe would be housed at the cemetery, and the current backhoe at the cemetery will be repurposed to parks.
Very good. And this is being paid for through installment debt, correct?
That is correct, sir.
Any questions or comments for Commissioner Kiley? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 8, authorizing the purchase of one 2017 or newer model year stump grinder to be used by the Bureau of Public Works.
Motion? And a second?
Second.
Thanks, John. Bob, explanation?
You can tell it's the beginning of the year. We have several equipment expenditures with the 2017 budget. This resolution before the town board is to purchase a new stumper. The current stumper is a 2006, and we budgeted these funds for a replacement stumper in the 2017 budget. We put out a bid package on January 26, 2017. We opened that bid package on February 7th, and Vermeer Northeast was the lowest responsible bidder. in the amount of $59,933 with no cents.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions or comments?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, and I'll just note this, as we become more aggressive with our, both our tree removal of dangerous expired trees in the right-of-way and also the subsequent replacement of this, this purchase of equipment is necessary, so we continue to maintain and possibly enhance our tree canopy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. I've grown to really like tree canopy. It's become one of my favorite exercises of the town. So don't roll your eyes, Councilwoman Barnum. Okay.
Item
Number 10.
Item number 9, authorization to purchase one 2017 or newer model year street sweeper to be used by the Bureau of Public Works.
Motion, please.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Commissioner Kiley, explanation?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The resolution before the town board this evening replaces the street sweeper which was destroyed in the Christmas Eve fire of 2016. We put a bid package out on February 2nd, 2017, and opened bids on February 10th, 2017. And the lowest responsible bidder was J&J Equipment, LLC, in the amount of $236,000. So this expenditure, this purchase is due to the fire. So we lost our street sweeper. We're just replacing the street sweeper which was lost in the Christmas Eve fire.
Thanks, Bob. And we do, when do we expect to actually have the sweeper by?
The reason before that it's to the town board this evening is to make sure that we have it prior to the main summer months. So we move on a lot of the equipment early in the year to make sure that we have that equipment for when we're busy during the May, June, and those summer months where we would want to be out with the variety of different equipment we've discussed this evening.
Well, this was unexpected. I should say it was unexpected before December 24th. So thank you for putting this together and making sure that we're able to make the purchase tonight. Any questions?
We should have this street sweeper by May 1st.
Very good. All right. We're going to hold you to that. Watch out. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 10, authorizing the supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement for New York State snow and ice for 2016-2017 season.
Motion, please.
Move.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Kiley, once more an explanation, please.
This resolution before the town board this evening authorizes the town supervisor to enter into the intermunicipal agreement with New York State. This is for snow removal for the 2016-2017 snow season. I should note that through the years, as we have taken ownership of Seabreeze Drive, the former 590, the lane miles for in which the state of New York compensates the town for snow removal has decreased. In addition, some of the decreased costs per lane mile for snow removal can be directly attributed to that and lighter snowstorms, lighter snow events throughout the last 3 years. So it's an average of those snow events. That's how these calculations come about with regard to the cost per lane mile for snow removal.
Thanks, Bob. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Number 11, authorizing the purchase of one vac truck to be used by the Bureau of Public Works.
Motion, please.
Moved.
And a second.
Second.
Thanks, John. Bob, once more explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This resolution before the town board this evening authorizes the purchase of a new vac truck. During the Christmas Eve fire, the town, the Christmas Eve fire, the Department of Public Works lost both its vac trucks. We have already replaced one at a previous town board per resolution at that town board meeting. The resolution before this town board this evening would be to purchase a new vac truck through the Onondaga County contract. The cost for that vehicle is $367,754.50.
Thank you. And I'll also just note that, as I've said previously, our sanitation fleet really sustained the largest loss almost in its entirety. It's been the collective decision to move forward with replacing those vehicles first. And as I've also said, we're replacing those largely with newer vehicles as we look to replace a lot of our dump trucks that are also used for plowing. We'll be looking to replace those with used vehicles. So we're being cautious of, mindful of cost, but also replacement schedule as well. Okay, any questions or comments for the Commissioner? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 12, accepting gifts for Arundequoit's Winterfest celebration.
Motion? Move. And a second?
Second.
Deputy Commissioner Sinton, explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. These donations were in support of our recent Winterfest celebration, and specifically they came from the Home Depot, the Arundequoit Library Foundation, Assembly Majority Leader Joe Morelli, and Rock Printing.
Very good. And I believe we passed the previous resolution also accepting gifts as well, so some other businesses contributed as well, which we don't have to name. I just want to make sure.
That is correct.
Thank you. The resolution does note those. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 13, authorizing 2016 interfund closing transfers to appropriate funding to the self-insurance fund.
Motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Madam Comptroller, brief explanation?
You have a list of the open workers' compensation claims attached to the resolution, and this resolution is requesting approval to transfer funds for each of the fund amounts that's listed from the workers, to the self-insurance fund. So this is to appropriate funding to the self-insurance fund.
And this is necessary for closing out the books, correct?
Yes.
For 2016? Okay.
Yes.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 14, authorizing transfers from the self-insurance fund to operating funds for workers' compensation claims paid in 2016.
Motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
Madam Comptroller, brief explanation?
You have a list of, in front of you of the claims that were actually paid in 2016, and this is requesting funding be transferred from the self-insurance fund to the respective operating fund to apply a budget to those claims that have been paid.
Very good. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 15, authorizing the transfer of a police officer to the town of Arundequoit.
Motion?
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
I'll give it to Councilwoman Hushler-Ray. Chief Tantilla, explanation, please.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Supervisor. We're proposing the hiring of a police officer to fill a vacancy. The officer is Evan Bruckle, who currently works with the Caledonia Police Department. He's gone through our internal selection process, a series of testing with the Monroe County Civil Service Commission, and an extensive background investigation was conducted by our agency. He comes to us with a year's experience in law enforcement. He has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from SUNY Brockport, and I think he'll be a great addition to our agency. This appointment will be pending the approval of the attorney, which will include the authorization from Monroe County Civil Service Commission.
Is that our town attorney, or?
Yes.
Thank you. And this vacancy isn't what, I should rephrase this, we added another funded police position in the budget. This vacancy might not necessarily be attributed to that, but we will have subsequent vacancies that will be, the vacancies will occur because we did add a 52nd funded officer, but this is the first and hopefully what will be a handful of new appointments to the police department, correct?
Right. We have 2 upcoming retirements within the next 30 days.
Very good.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 16, authorizing attendance to 3rd Annual New York State Tactical Team Leadership Forum.
Motion? Move. And a second.
Second.
Chief, brief explanation?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This is an opportunity for our commander of the emergency response team to attend a state-sanctioned and authorized tactical leadership forum. It's very important to develop best practices for this particular unit. We've been very successful with the deployment of these officers as they've been called out to a few situations, critical incidents, and all of those have been handled very peacefully.
Very good. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted.
Item number 17, approving police-related courses.
Motion, please.
Moved.
And a second.
Second?
Chief, explanation, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. This is in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement with the Arundecoit Police Nightstick Club, but we have an officer seeking an opportunity for higher education. We certainly fully support that. He will be taking classes with Monroe Community College from a professional development perspective.
Very good. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. And before we move on to item number 20, I'll just note the board members in last week's workshop did have a draft resolution regarding adopting, awarding a contract for body-worn cameras. We've decided we'll do that in a subsequent meeting. So it's still our intention, but we can do it in a subsequent meeting. Just wanted to point that out.
Item number 20, approving the special event license for Shamrock Jack's Restaurant to conduct their annual St. Patrick's Day Festival.
Motion? Moved. In a second?
Second.
Thank you. Who wouldn't want to second this resolution?
We're waiting.
Thank you, Barb, and we look forward to Shamrock Jack's once again providing some festive activities during St. Patrick's Day. Very good local business we're all very proud of and happy to approve this resolution. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution is adopted. This concludes our body of work for the February 21st regular town board meeting. Our next workshop meeting will be March 14th, 2017 at 4 p.m. in the Broderick Meeting Room at Town Hall. Next regular town board meeting, March 21st, 2017, 7 p.m. here in the Broderick Meeting Room. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
And a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting is adjourned.
We hope you enjoyed this presentation of the Arundecoit Town Board on ICAT 12, Arundecoit's government access channel.